Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We've got our first look at Tom Bombadil in The Rangs of Power. Yes, that series that now I don't think anyone genuinely cares about, even for comedic value. I don't think anyone's even going to hate watch this season 2. But we'll take a look at it. Tom Bombadil, this will be the first live-action iteration of Tom Bombadil. So, yeah, good, I guess. You know, gonna get a bit of good old Jolly Tom. Although, was he in The Hobbit? I don't think so. I can't remember. I know he wasn't where he should have been anyway. Or at least what I remember he should have been. The Fellowship. But anyway, let's take a look, shall we, ladies and gents? So here we have it right now. Here he is. Tomo Bombadillo. Cool, fine, I guess. I mean, what do you say? Like, honestly, what do you say to it, really? It's just not that much. You know, there's not a lot there. It is what it is. I think what's interesting about this, from sort of a commentary perspective, is that Vanity Fair are doing the same thing that they did before. This is exactly the same thing that like Empire did as well, or was it Entertainment Weekly? One of the two. One of the two major big sort of mainstream media outlets. They were pushing loads of Rings of Power stuff, clearly because they were paid. And then when it came out, they were like, oh, it's really bad, actually. They dropped their review. It's like, okay, cool. I mean, we understand people get paid, but it's that sort of, you know, 180 breakneck speed to change that makes people go, oof. All right, then. That's such a differing narrative. So, look. Tom Bombadil. I always pictured him quite fat, to be honest. Fat and jolly. So, yeah. I mean, the location itself, it looks good. The thing about this show is, you know, there were always elements that were relatively high-end looking. Like, some of the sets looked good. Like, it all looked... Some of it had real wealth put behind it, or real budget put behind it. But that's not going to save it. So, let's see what they say in terms of how they're going to try and sell this crap. Tom Bombadil has finally been invited on one of the long and winding road trips through Middle-earth. The mystical character is one of the more offbeat figures in J.R.R. Tolkien's The Lord of the Rings saga, a woodland-dwelling man with an ethereal presence and a penchant for nonsense songs and brightly coloured clothes. I mean, even they say brightly coloured clothes, he doesn't have anything. He also had like a wife. It was always a bit interesting. I always think, always a bit, yeah. It was always a surprising thing in the books. So anyway, he helped rescue the hobbits from peril early in the first book, The Fellowship of the Ring. Ah, so I was right, yeah, because it was from the sort of hilltop. I don't know, like hilltop sort of demon type things. I can't remember what they were called in the books, but it was quite a brutal scene. I remember in the Fellowship, and it was lucky that he was there. You know, right place, right time. Perspective. So as much as he stands apart, his name would likely draw a blank from anyone who hasn't read the novel, since the two primary film retellings, Ralph Bakshi's animated 1978 opus and Peter Jackson's Oscar-winning live-action trilogy, both cut him from the narrative completely. Now old Tom, as the books refer to him, is finally getting his moment in the sun. Yeah... Alright then. So Rings of Power, the Amazon Prime video series based on Tolkien's ancient history of his fantasy realm, will break that tradition of exclusion and finally feature Tom Bombadil. I mean, look, because it's that, you know why they can't exclude him, because they're all for inclusion. That's what it is, right? Diversity. Along with his jolly songs and his flamboyant wardrobe. Where's the flamboyancy? What are they talking about? When its second season begins, August 29th, Bombadil was described in Tolkien's books as older than the old, a benevolent entity who began life around the time all life began, so his existence in this earlier era, thousands of years before the events of The Lord of the Rings, fits within the canon established by the author. In a 1937 letter to his publisher, mulling a possible sequel to The Hobbit, Tolkien described Bombadil as the spirit of the vanishing Oxford and Berkshire countryside. I can see that. I've lived in Berkshire. The author bristled at the notion that he wrote in allegory, but it's clear he saw Bombadil as nature personified, Right up to... Yeah, but that's not really an allegory. What? No. Okay, whatever. Right up to the character's ambivalence about interfering in the larger world around him that left showrunners J.D. Payne and Patrick McKay to figure out exactly how he might turn up in their show and why. Oh, I don't know. Where's the flamboyancy? Where's the wardrobe? There's a reason he hasn't been in prior adaptations, because in some ways he's sort of an anti-dramatic character. That's not true. Payne tells Vanity Fair for his exclusive first look. He's not a character who has a particularly strong agenda. He observes drama, but largely doesn't participate in it. In the Fellowship of the Ring, the characters kind of just go there and hang out for a while. That's not true. He saves them, and Tom drops some knowledge on them. Knowledge that's not particularly relevant to anything that they're doing or about to do. Have they read the book? Bombadil first turns up when the hobbits run afoul of Old Man Willow, an angry tree in the old forest who swallows Merry and Pippin in the folds of his bark. Bombadil sings a song that soothes the savage sprout, causing it to release the halflings after a brief stay with him and his wife Goldberry. The little ones depart. Later they're rescued again by Bombadil when they're captured by malevolent spirits known as Barrow Wights. There you go. Who sees them in an ancient cemetery. A barrow is an old English word for a burial mound, and White is a kind of a ghost. Yeah, he's not really dramaless. He doesn't really just turn up and just do nothing. He can be a force for good, but he's challenging to integrate dramatically in that he doesn't have an agenda. He's not driving forward and pushing people to arrive at any particular end. No, but he can be someone that people just, see. Yeah, interesting. Tolkien himself was hazy about the character's purpose and said he kept Bombadil in the story even though he didn't have a clear purpose plot-wise. Tom Bombadil is not an important person to the narrative, Tolkien wrote in a 1954 letter to his proofreader for The Lord of the Rings. I suppose he has some importance as a comment, I do not really write like that. He represents something that I feel important, though I would not be prepared to analyse the feeling precisely. And someone said he was God personified. That's not really the case, but fine. And Tolkien was like, I really do think you're being too serious, and besides missing the point. So there you go. Here's some more images. Again, no, we don't have any of the sort of flamboyancy that they're saying at all, but sure, fine. They're going to screw this up. This was the key for Rings of Power showrunners. We started thinking, what does he care about? And how can that be a doorway to drama? So they're going to just make him... Right, they're going to make him interact then, aren't they? So they're going to change the law. We know he cares about the natural world, and we know he is a helper. He's not going to push you, but he will help you. And so traditionally, he lives in this place called the Withy Windle, which is this sort of almost enchanted forest. For the series, Payne and McKay took liberties, I'm sure, of giving Bombadil a second home on the outskirts of a region called Rhûn. In our story, he has gone out to the lands of Rhûn, which we learn used to be sort of Edenic and green and beautiful, but now is sort of a dead wasteland. Tom has gone out there to see what's happened as he goes on his various wanderings. So they are just changing the law. Great. Expect Tom Bombadil to offer the stranger some rare compassion in this otherwise merciless place, as Payne explains. When he finally crosses paths with the stranger, you could say he has a desire to try and keep the destruction that has happened there from spreading to his beloved lands in the west. He nudges the stranger along his journey, which he knows will eventually protect the larger natural world that he cares about. So I'd say our Tom Bombadil is slightly more interventionist than you see in the books, but only 5% or 10%. Well, clearly quite a lot, to be fair. Yeah, this is nonsense. Yeah, this is genuine nonsense. Good times. Not. Here he is again. Huh. Alright then. About what I expected, to be fair. There's not really much else here. It's just all pretty shit, to be fair. This drops quite soon, doesn't it? If I remember rightly. Which is pretty insane. So, there you go. Not really, much else to kind of go into here. What do you guys think? Let me know down below. They're going to screw this up. Of course they are. Cheers, guys. Take care. Bye-bye now.